Olivia Mason checked her toolkit one last time before the shuttle docked with the Galactic Council space station. The red metal box contained everything a good engineer needed: a hammer, several screwdrivers, wrenches of various sizes, pliers, wire cutters, a utility knife, and a small soldering iron. Nothing special, just the basics she'd used throughout her 10-year career fixing things back on Earth. "Final approach to Harmony Station," announced the pilot. "All passengers prepare for docking procedures." Olivia closed her toolkit and secured it with the other luggage. She still couldn't believe she was one of 20 humans selected for this historic mission, the first human delegation to join the Galactic Council. After decades of distant communication, humanity was finally taking its place among the stars. The shuttle docked with a slight bump. Olivia stood with the other delegates, smoothing down her blue uniform with the Earth insignia. Her heart raced as the airlock doors slid open to reveal their alien hosts. Commander Zextrol stood at the front of the welcoming committee. The tall, slender alien had pale blue skin with faint luminescent patterns and 4 arms that ended in delicate 3-fingered hands. Behind the commander stood representatives from at least 6 different species. "Welcome to Harmony Station," Zextrol said through the translator device. "We are honored to receive Earth's first official delegation." The human ambassador stepped forward with formal greetings while Olivia and the others waited their turn to disembark. When she finally stepped through the airlock, she couldn't help but stare at the soaring architecture of the docking bay. Everything seemed to be made of flowing, seamless materials in soft colors. "All personal items must pass through security scanning," announced an alien official, gesturing toward a row of devices that resembled airport scanners. Olivia placed her duffel bag and toolkit on the conveyor belt. She watched as they disappeared into the scanning machine. Moments later, alarms blared throughout the docking bay. Red lights flashed overhead. "Security breach. Security breach," called out a computerized voice. Alien security personnel rushed forward, surrounding the scanner. Their postures showed clear alarm. Olivia felt her stomach drop. What had happened? "Whose belongings are these?" demanded Commander Zextrol, pointing at the screen showing Olivia's toolkit. "Those are mine," Olivia said, stepping forward. "Is there a problem?" "Problem." The commander's voice rose with each word. "You have brought at least 14 deadly weapons onto a peaceful station." Olivia blinked in confusion. "Weapons? I don't have any weapons. That's just my toolkit." The security team had now formed a protective circle around the other aliens, as if Olivia might attack at any moment. The scanner displayed a rotating image of her hammer, highlighted in pulsing red. "That is a crushing weapon designed to shatter skulls," said one of the security officers. "No, that's a hammer. For hitting nails, for building things," Olivia explained. The scanner image changed to show her utility knife. "And this? A slashing weapon designed for inflicting maximum damage to soft tissues." Commander Zextrol's 4 hands were now trembling slightly. Olivia shook her head. "It's just a utility knife. For cutting wire, opening packages, standard tool for any engineer." The human ambassador hurried over, realizing the growing tension. "There seems to be a misunderstanding. Engineer Mason carries only standard tools, not weapons." Commander Zextrol's large eyes narrowed. "Your standard tools are classified as Class 3 lethal weapons under Galactic Council security protocols. Each one is designed to cause severe bodily harm." The other delegates had stopped now, watching the scene unfold. Olivia felt her face flush with embarrassment. "I need these tools to do my job," she tried to explain. "I'm here to help maintain Earth's new embassy section. Every engineer uses these. Every human engineer carries these weapons openly," asked one of the other aliens, their voice high with alarm. "They're not weapons," Olivia insisted. "They're tools, very basic ones." The security officers conferred among themselves while the human ambassador tried to smooth things over. Finally, Commander Zextrol approached Olivia again. "You may keep your tools, but they must remain under strict security protocols. They will be stored in a containment unit and only accessed under supervision for specific approved tasks. Olivia wanted to argue but saw the genuine fear in the alien's eyes. What humans considered ordinary, these advanced species saw it as brutally dangerous. She nodded slowly, realizing this assignment would be far more complicated than she had imagined. "I understand," she said quietly. "I'll follow whatever security measures you need." As she was escorted away from the other delegates, Olivia wondered what these aliens would think if they ever saw a construction site back on Earth, or even a simple kitchen with its array of knives and utensils. Somehow, humanity's most basic tools had just become the most dangerous items on the entire space station. 3 days after the Toolkit incident, Olivia sat in the human quarters feeling useless. Without her tools, she couldn't perform even the simplest tasks she'd been sent here to do. The small living space assigned to her had a strange curved design that made her feel like she was living inside a seashell. Pretty, but impractical. A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Commander Zextroll with another alien Olivia hadn't met before. "Engineer Mason," said the commander. "This is Chief Engineer Pelvac. There is a situation requiring your expertise." Olivia stood quickly. "I'll help however I can." "You will be allowed access to your tools under supervision," explained Zextroll. "A panel in the Earth Embassy section has come loose. Our repair methods are not compatible with the materials your people sent." Olivia followed them through the curved corridors of the station. Other aliens moved aside as they passed, some watching with obvious concern. Word about the dangerous human tools had clearly spread. At the half-finished Earth Embassy section, a wall panel hung awkwardly, exposing wiring behind it. 2 security officers stood guard near a sealed container, her toolkit. "For safety, you may only access one tool at a time," said Pelvac. "Please state which item you require first." "I'll need a screwdriver to check the loose screws," Olivia said. The security officer pressed a code into the container. It opened to reveal her tools, each secured in its own compartment. The officer carefully removed the screwdriver and handed it to her as if passing a loaded gun. Olivia took the Phillips head screwdriver and examined the panel. 3 screws had worked loose from the wall material. She began tightening them while the aliens watched intently. "You're using the pointed end to drill?" asked Pelvac. "No, just to tighten." The screws were loose, Olivia explained. The aliens looked confused. Why not use molecular bonding? Olivia realized they didn't understand basic mechanical fasteners. "We use screws to hold things together. They're simple and effective." She finished with the screwdriver and handed it back. "Now I need the hammer, please." The security officer hesitated, looking to Commander Zextroll for approval. With obvious reluctance, he unsealed the hammer and passed it over. As soon as Olivia took the hammer, she noticed all the aliens step back. Even the brave commander put 2 arms in a defensive position. "I'm just going to tap the panel back into place," she explained gently. "The frame is slightly bent." She positioned the hammer and gave the panel a few light taps along the edge. The aliens flinched with each impact. When she finished, the panel sat flush against the wall. "Barbaric," whispered one of the security officers. Olivia returned the hammer to its container. "What do you mean?" Pelvac's 4-fingered hands moved nervously. "Such physical force. It seems so violent." "This is how we fix things," said Olivia. "How do your people make repairs?" Pelvac held up a small device that looked like a pen. "Molecular manipulation. We encourage materials to return to their proper form or bond at the atomic level." Another chime sounded, and Alan Pierce, the human medical specialist, entered the room. He carried a sealed case with a medical insignia. "Olivia, there you are," he said with a smile. "I've been looking all over for you." Commander Zextroll immediately focused on Alan's case. "What is that container?" "Just my basic medical kit," Alan said. "Nothing fancy." The commander's skin paled slightly. "It must be scanned immediately." Hélène looked confused, but followed the security officer to a scanning station. Moments later, alarms blared again. 17 more weapons, gasped the commander, looking at the scan results. Cutting implements, piercing devices, clamps. Those are surgical tools, protested Alan. Scalpels, forceps, scissors, basic medical equipment. Olivia and Alan exchanged looks of understanding. It wasn't just her toolkit. Human technology as a whole was seen as primitive and dangerous. Later, in the human quarters, they compared notes with the other members of the delegation. Greg, the chef, had his knives confiscated. Linda, the botanist, lost her pruning shears. Even Carlos, the communications specialist, had his soldering iron classified as a heat weapon. "They think we're savages," said Alan, shaking his head. "No," Olivia replied, thinking about Pelvac's delicate manipulation device. "They'd just evolved past physical tools. They don't understand why we still use them." She looked out the curved window at the stars beyond. Somehow, they needed to show these advanced aliens that humans weren't dangerous primitives. They were resourceful survivors who knew how to solve problems with whatever was at hand. A week after arriving on Harmony Station, Olivia was finally settling into a routine. Each morning, she would submit requests to use specific tools from her kit, wait for approval, and then complete small repairs under the watchful eyes of security. It was frustrating but better than doing nothing. She was eating lunch in the station's dining area when the lights flickered. Conversations around her stopped as everyone looked up. The lights flickered again, then went out completely. Emergency lighting activated, bathing everything in a soft blue glow. A voice came over the station's communication system. "Attention all personnel. We are experiencing a power failure in Sector 7. Engineering teams are responding. This is not a drill. All non-essential personnel, please remain where you are." Sector 7. That was where the life support systems were housed. Olivia set down her food tray and hurried toward the exit. "Engineer Mason, please return to your seat," called out a security officer. "This area is secure." "I can help," she said. "I'm trained for emergency repairs." The officer hesitated, then touched his communication device. "Commander, the human engineer is offering assistance with the Sector 7 situation." After a brief conversation, the officer nodded. "Follow me. The commander has approved your assistance." They hurried through the corridors of the station. As they got closer to Sector 7, Olivia could hear alarms and see alien crew members moving quickly. The air felt warmer than usual, suggesting the environmental controls were failing. Commander Zextrol met them at the entrance to Sector 7. His normally smooth movements were jerky with stress. "Engineer Mason, the main environmental control unit has failed. 327 residents in the adjacent habitation pods will lose life support within 30 minutes if we cannot restore power." "What's the specific problem?" Olivia asked. The commander led her to a control room where Chief Engineer Pelvac and several other aliens were gathered around a holographic display. "The central power coupling has fractured," explained Pelvac. "We cannot repair it remotely because the damage is physical, not electronic. And we cannot send in repair drones because the chamber is now flooded with radiation from the damaged coupling." Olivia studied the display showing the damaged component. It was a large metal connector that had cracked along one side, breaking the circuit. "Can anyone go in to fix it manually?" she asked. "The radiation levels are dangerous for extended exposure," said one of the other engineers, "and without proper tools, a manual repair would take too long." Olivia took a deep breath. "I can do it. Humans have tools designed for quick physical repairs, and our bodies can handle short radiation exposure better than some species." The aliens looked at her in surprise. "You would risk radiation exposure?" asked the commander. "To save 300 lives?" "Yes," Olivia said firmly. "I'll need my full toolkit and a radiation suit if you have one that would fit me." 20 minutes later, Olivia stood at the entrance to the power coupling chamber wearing a modified radiation suit. Her complete toolkit, unsealed for the first time since her arrival, hung from her belt. Commander Zex-Troll had personally authorized the release of all her tools given the emergency. "You have 15 minutes of safe exposure time," said Pelvac through her headset. "After that, cellular damage becomes significant." "I'll be quick," Olivia promised. She entered the chamber and made her way to the damaged coupling. Up close, she could see that the metal housing had split along a seam, pulling apart the connection inside. The aliens' molecular manipulation tools were too delicate for this kind of large-scale physical damage. Working quickly, Olivia pulled out her adjustable wrench and loosened the housing clamps. Next came the pliers to pull the broken pieces into alignment. She wrapped metal wire around the split section as a temporary brace, then used electrical tape to secure it. Finally, she tightened everything back with a wrench. "Try it now," she called through the headset. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lights in the chamber brightened. The power was flowing again. "It's working." Pelvac's voice was filled with surprise and relief. "How did you repair it so quickly?" "Sometimes the old ways work best," Olivia said, gathering her tools. "It's not pretty, but it should hold until you can replace the coupling properly." When she exited the chamber, a crowd of aliens had gathered. They stared at her with a mixture of fear and newfound respect. The tools hanging from her belt no longer seemed like primitive weapons, but life-saving instruments. Commander Zex-Troll stepped forward. 327 lives were saved by your quick action, Engineer Mason. Perhaps there is more to learn about human methods than we initially believed." Olivia smiled tiredly. "That's what tools are really for. Not to harm, but to help." News about Olivia's emergency repair spread quickly throughout Harmony Station. Aliens who had previously avoided her now nodded in greeting when she passed. Some even approached with questions about human tools and repair methods. Olivia found herself becoming an unofficial ambassador for human engineering. 2 days after the incident, Olivia received a message from Ambassador Krelfor, the station's diplomatic chief. The tall, feathered alien requested her presence at a special council meeting to discuss the human approach to technology. When Olivia arrived at the Grand Council chamber, she was surprised to find representatives from at least 20 different alien species seated in a semicircle. Commander Zex-Troll and Chief Engineer Pelvac were there, along with several members of the human delegation. Ambassador Krelvor, whose golden feathers shimmered under the chamber lights, beckoned Olivia forward. "Engineer Mason, thank you for joining us. Your actions during the power crisis have sparked considerable discussion among council members." Olivia noticed that her toolkit sat on a small table in the center of the room. It had been cleaned and polished, almost like a museum exhibit. "Some representatives have expressed concern about human technology," continued Krelvor. "They believe your reliance on physical tools indicates a dangerous level of developmental aggression. Others see potential value in your unique approach. We have asked you here to demonstrate your tools in a controlled environment." Olivia looked around the room. Some aliens leaned forward with interest, while others sat rigidly as if ready to flee. "I'd be happy to show you how we use our tools," she said. "What would you like me to demonstrate?" Ambassador Krelvor gestured to a large metal bracket that had been placed next to her toolkit. "Could you show us how you would disassemble and reassemble this component?" Olivia approached the bracket. It was a simple joint with bolts holding it together, the kind of thing she'd worked with hundreds of times on Earth. "I'll need to use several tools for this," she explained. "First, a wrench to loosen these bolts." She picked up her adjustable wrench. Several aliens in the front row visibly tensed. One even moved their seat back slightly. Slowly and deliberately, Olivia positioned the wrench around a bolt and turned it. A wrench uses leverage to rotate fasteners like bolts. It multiplies the force I can apply with my hand. As the bolt came loose, she set it aside and moved to the next one. "We use threaded fasteners because they're secure but can be removed when needed. It's simple but effective engineering." After removing all 4 bolts, she showed how the bracket came apart into 2 pieces. Then she began reassembling it, explaining each step. "The remarkable thing," commented a blue-skinned scientist, is the versatility of these implements. Our specialized nano-tools can only perform specific functions. That's the beauty of human tools, Olivia said, tightening the final bolt. They're adaptable. One tool can serve many purposes. An elder alien with wispy tentacles raised a limb. But these tools can also cause great harm. The wrench you use to tighten bolts could easily crush a skull. The room grew quiet. Olivia carefully set down the wrench. Any object can be used as a weapon if someone chooses to use it that way, she said. But that's not why we created these tools. They exist to build, to fix, to create. Another representative, with reptilian features, leaned forward. Yet your species' history is filled with violence. How can we trust that you won't use these implements against others? Before Olivia could answer, Dr. Alan Pierce stood up from the human section. May I speak? When Ambassador Krulvor nodded, he continued, the same tools that can harm can also heal. My medical kit that caused so much alarm contains instruments that have saved countless lives. The discussion grew heated. Some aliens argued that humans were too dangerous to join the galactic community, while others defended human resourcefulness as a valuable trait. Through it all, Olivia's toolkit sat in the center, simple metal tools that had somehow become the focus of interstellar politics. As the debate continued, Ambassador Krulvor approached Olivia quietly. You have stirred quite the controversy, Engineer Mason. I didn't mean to, she replied. The feathered alien's eyes crinkled, and what Olivia had learned was a smile. Sometimes controversy leads to progress. Many species here have become so specialized, they've forgotten the value of adaptability. Your demonstration today has given them much to consider. As Olivia looked around the chamber, she realized her role on the station had changed. She wasn't just an engineer anymore. She had become a bridge between two very different approaches to survival in the universe. 2 weeks after the council meeting, life on Harmony Station had settled into a new normal. Olivia was now allowed to carry 3 of her less dangerous tools, her screwdriver, pliers, and measuring tape, without supervision. The rest remained in secure storage, but the security protocols had been relaxed enough to make her job easier. Olivia was having lunch with Alan and Kevin Foster, the human security specialist, when the station's alert system activated. This wasn't the soft chime of a minor issue, but a harsh, pulsing alarm that made several aliens in the dining area cry out in distress. Warning! Warning! Unknown vessels approaching. All security personnel report to duty stations. All civilians proceed to designated safety areas. Kevin was on his feet immediately. Though he was officially part of the human delegation security team, he had been working with the station's security forces to learn their protocols. Those aren't scheduled arrivals, he said, checking his communication device. I need to report in. Olivia and Alan followed him into the corridor, which was filling with confused aliens heading toward safety zones. Kevin Foster reporting to security chief, Kevin said into his device. What's the situation? Commander Zextroll's voice came through. 3 vessels without identification codes have docked at emergency airlocks in sectors 3, 5, and 8. They bypassed our automated defense systems. Security teams are responding, but we have reports of armed intruders. Pirates, said a passing alien with crystalline skin. The Vrek Marauders. They've been raiding outposts in this sector for months. Kevin looked grim. Commander, I'm heading to the nearest security station. I can help. Negative, replied Zextroll. Report to Safety Zone 4 with other non-security personnel. Olivia grabbed Kevin's arm before he could argue. Let's go to Safety Zone 4. It's near the diplomatic sector, right? We should make sure the other humans are safe. The 3 humans moved against the flow of traffic, heading toward the diplomatic sector where most of the human delegation had offices. As they turned a corner, they heard shouting ahead, followed by a sound Olivia recognized from training videos, energy weapons discharging. Kevin pulled them into a service alcove. That's weapons fire. The pirates must have reached the diplomatic sector. Through a window in the corridor, they could see several tough-looking aliens dressed in mismatched armor pushing a group of hostages forward. Among them were 3 human delegates and several high-ranking alien diplomats. "They're taking hostages," whispered Alan, "including our people." Kevin's face hardened. The station security isn't prepared for this kind of physical assault. Their weapons are designed to incapacitate without harm, effective against most civilized species, but useless against pirates who wear shielding technology. Olivia watched as the pirates herded their captives into the Grand Council chamber, where she had demonstrated her tools just days earlier. "We need to help them," she said. "But how? We're not armed." Kevin thought for a moment. "Not conventionally armed. No. But we have something the station security doesn't have. Experience with physical confrontation. And I have my tools," Olivia added, touching the pouch at her hip. "The 3 that I'm allowed to carry, anyway." Alan nodded. "My medical kit is in my office nearby. It has surgical tools that could be useful." "We need a plan," Kevin said. "And we need access to Olivia's full toolkit." They made their way to a security station that had been abandoned in the chaos. Kevin used his limited access to bring up the station schematics. "The pirates are here," he said, pointing to the council chamber. "They've sealed the main doors, but there's a maintenance tunnel that runs underneath. We could access it from this service corridor." Olivia studied the display. "That would get us close, but we still need my toolkit. It's stored in Security Locker 47B, which is..." She traced her finger along the map to a nearby section. "Just 2 corridors away from our position." Alan looked worried. "Even if we get your tools, what can we do against armed pirates?" Kevin smiled grimly. "You'd be surprised what humans can accomplish with simple tools and determination. Remember, what these aliens fear about our tools is precisely what makes them effective. They're versatile and can be used in ways their creators never intended." Olivia thought about the council meeting, how the aliens had feared her simple wrench. Now that fear might be justified, not because humans were violent by nature, but because they would do whatever was necessary to protect their own. "Let's get my toolkit," she said. "Then we'll show these pirates why you should never underestimate a human with basic tools." Getting to Olivia's toolkit was easier than expected. The security locker required authorization, but in the chaos, a station security officer had left a terminal logged in. Kevin quickly overrode the lock protocols, and the storage unit slid open to reveal Olivia's red metal toolbox. "Grab everything," Kevin said, keeping watch. "We don't know what we'll need." Olivia clipped tools to her belt while stuffing others into a bag. Alan returned from his office with his medical kit and a handful of supplies. "I have surgical thread, adhesive bandages, and some sedatives," Alan explained. "Not much for fighting pirates, but maybe useful." Kevin led them through empty service corridors toward the maintenance tunnel. The station was eerily quiet, with most civilians in safety zones and security forces dealing with pirates in other sectors. "According to the reports I heard, the Vrick Marauders specialize in bypassing high-tech security systems," Kevin explained as they crawled through the narrow tunnel. The station's defenses were designed to stop sophisticated attacks, not brute force entries. The pirates simply cut through hull sections at emergency airlocks. "Why take hostages?" Olivia asked, her voice echoing in the metal passage. "Ransom probably," Kevin replied. "The diplomatic sector houses representatives from wealthy worlds. Plus, they can use hostages as shields if station security tries to retake the area." They reached a junction beneath the council chamber. Above them, they could hear muffled voices, the harsh tones of the pirates contrasting with the fearful responses of their captives. Alan pointed to a maintenance hatch. "That should lead up to a storage room just off the main chamber." Kevin checked the hatch carefully. "It's not locked, but it might make noise when opened. We need a distraction." Olivia dug through her toolkit and pulled out a small electrical repair kit. "I can cause a power surge in a different section. It would draw attention away from this area." Working quickly, she connected wires to an exposed circuit panel. "This should trigger emergency lights in the far corridor." Ready? When Kevin nodded, Olivia crossed 2 wires. Immediately, alarms blared from a distant part of the station. They heard shouts and running footsteps above as some pirates went to investigate. Kevin eased the hatch open and peered into the dark storage room. Clear. Let's move. They climbed up one by one. Through a crack in the door, they could see into the council chamber. 4 pirates stood guard over about 20 hostages seated on the floor. The lead pirate, a tall figure with cybernetic implants visible on his face, paced in front of them. Captain Vrek demands payment within 1 hour, the pirate leader was saying into a communication device. 5 million credits transferred to our account, or hostages start dying. Kevin pulled them back to whisper a plan. We need to take out those guards without alerting the others who went to check the alarm. Olivia looked through her toolkit, seeing each item with new eyes. Not as tools, but as weapons. Her heavy wrench could knock someone unconscious. Wire cutters could disable cybernetic components. Even her measuring tape could be used to trip or bind an enemy. I can create a sleeping gas, Alan said. My sedatives mixed with the cleaning solutions in this room might knock them out briefly. That would affect the hostages too, Kevin pointed out. Not if we have air filters, Alan replied, pulling surgical masks from his kit. These won't be perfect, but they'll help if we act quickly. While Alan mixed chemicals in a small container, Olivia modified a battery-powered fan from her toolkit to help spread the gas. Kevin found a metal rod that could be used as a weapon if needed. Remember, Kevin said as they prepared, these pirates expect high-tech resistance. They won't be looking for primitive attacks. Olivia held up her wrench, remembering how the aliens had recoiled from it during her demonstration. Sometimes primitive is exactly what you need. Alan finished his mixture. This will create a fog that causes drowsiness. It won't last long. Maybe 30 seconds of confusion before they realize what's happening. Kevin checked the room once more. We'll only get one chance. Olivia, you take the 2 on the left. I'll handle the ones on the right. Alan, be ready to help the hostages. Everyone clear. Olivia and Alan nodded, pulling on their makeshift masks. For a group of aliens who thought our tools were terrifying weapons, Olivia said with grim determination, they're about to learn just how right they were. Kevin counted down silently with his fingers. 3, 2, 1. Alan tossed his chemical mixture into the council chamber and Olivia activated the small fan, pushing the rapidly forming fog toward the pirates. The effect was immediate. The gas spread in a pale cloud, confusing the pirates who had never seen such a primitive attack method. They were expecting energy weapons or technological threats, not a simple chemical fog. What is this? Shouted one pirate, coughing and stepping back. Olivia moved quickly, wrench in hand. She struck the nearest pirate behind the knee, causing him to buckle. Before he could shout a warning, she hit his cybernetic implant with the wrench. The device sparked and the pirate collapsed, his systems temporarily disabled. Kevin moved with the trained precision of a security expert. He tackled one pirate and used zip ties from Olivia's toolkit to bind his hands. The hostages, seeing what was happening, began to move away from the fighting. The lead pirate was less affected by the gas than his companions. He raised his weapon toward Kevin, but Alan was ready. He threw a handful of small metal parts from Olivia's toolkit at the pirate's face. The distraction was enough for Olivia to swing her hammer, knocking the weapon from the pirate's hand. Now, Kevin shouted to the hostages. Everyone moved to the storage room. The diplomats scrambled toward safety while the 3 humans continued to fight. Ellen helped guide the confused hostages while Kevin and Olivia dealt with the remaining pirates. One pirate pulled out a small communication device. Olivia recognized the danger. He was calling for backup. She grabbed her electrician's screwdriver and threw it with surprising accuracy, hitting the device and sending it skittering across the floor. The pirate snarled and lunged at her. Olivia sidestepped and swung her wrench again, connecting with his armored shoulder. The blow didn't hurt him much, but it knocked him off balance. Kevin finished the job by tackling him from behind. Within minutes, All 4 pirates in the chamber were either unconscious or restrained with zip ties and electrical wire. Olivia used duct tape to cover their mouths, preventing them from calling for help. "That won't hold them for long," Kevin warned, checking the corridor. "The others will be back soon." Commander Zextroll's voice suddenly came over Olivia's communication device. "Engineer Mason, are you in the diplomatic sector? Our sensors show unusual activity." "Commander, we've neutralized 4 pirates and freed the hostages," Olivia reported. "But there are more pirates nearby. We need extraction." There was a long pause. "You defeated 4 armed pirates. With what weapons?" Olivia smiled grimly. "With my toolkit, Commander. Like I've been trying to tell you. They're just tools in the right hands." Kevin interrupted. "Commander, we need security forces here now. We can hold this position, but not for long." "Security teams are 5 minutes away," Zextroll replied. "Can you secure the hostages until then?" Alan joined them from the storage room. "The diplomats are safe for now, but some need medical attention. I'm doing what I can with my kit." A noise from the corridor made them all freeze. More pirates were returning. Kevin pointed to the chamber's main doors, the only exit besides the maintenance tunnel, which was too small for the diplomats to use quickly. "We need to barricade those doors," he said. Working rapidly, Olivia used her tools to remove panels from the walls and secure them across the entrance. She used her screwdriver to jam the electronic locking mechanism, buying them precious minutes. Outside, they could hear angry voices as the returning pirates discovered what had happened. Something heavy slammed against the barricaded doors. "They're trying to break through," Kevin said, positioning himself protectively in front of the hostages. Olivia looked at her toolkit, now nearly empty as most of her tools had been used as weapons or to build the barricade. She had only her utility knife and a few smaller items left. "Olivia Mason," called a voice she recognized as Captain Freck himself. "I know you're in there. I've heard about the human with the dangerous tools. Open this door, or we'll cut through it." An alien diplomat with green scales touched Olivia's arm. "You saved us all with your primitive weapons. Are there more tricks in your arsenal?" Olivia stared at her remaining tools. They had already accomplished the impossible, but could they hold out until security arrived? "Captain Freck doesn't understand what he's up against," she said with growing confidence. "He thinks we're trapped in here with him and his pirates. The truth is, they're trapped out there with what we can create in here." Kevin counted down silently with his fingers. 3, 2, 1. Alan tossed his chemical mixture into the council chamber and Olivia activated the small fan, pushing the rapidly forming fog toward the pirates. The effect was immediate. The gas spread in a pale cloud, confusing the pirates who had never seen such a primitive attack method. They were expecting energy weapons or technological threats, not a simple chemical fog. "What is this?" shouted one pirate, coughing and stepping back. Olivia moved quickly, wrench in hand. She struck the nearest pirate behind the knee, causing him to buckle. Before he could shout a warning, she hit his cybernetic implant with the wrench. The device sparked and the pirate collapsed, his systems temporarily disabled. Kevin moved with the trained precision of a security expert. He tackled one pirate and used zip ties from Olivia's toolkit to bind his hands. The hostages, seeing what was happening, began to move away from the fighting. The lead pirate was less affected by the gas than his companions. He raised his weapon toward Kevin, but Alan was ready. He threw a handful of small metal parts from Olivia's toolkit at the pirate's face. The distraction was enough for Olivia to swing her hammer, knocking the weapon from the pirate's hand. "Now," Kevin shouted to the hostages. Everyone moved to the storage room. The diplomats scrambled toward safety while the 3 humans continued to fight. Ellen helped guide the confused hostages while Kevin and Olivia dealt with the remaining pirates. One pirate pulled out a small communication device. Olivia recognized the danger. He was calling for backup. She grabbed her electrician's screwdriver and threw it with surprising accuracy, hitting the device and sending it skittering across the floor. The pirate snarled and lunged at her. Olivia sidestepped and swung her wrench again, connecting with his armored shoulder. The blow didn't hurt him much, but it knocked him off balance. Kevin finished the job by tackling him from behind. Within minutes, all 4 pirates in the chamber were either unconscious or restrained with zip ties and electrical wire. Olivia used duct tape to cover their mouths, preventing them from calling for help. "That won't hold them for long," Kevin warned, checking the corridor. "The others will be back soon." Commander Zextroll's voice suddenly came over Olivia's communication device. "Engineer Mason, are you in the diplomatic sector? Our sensors show unusual activity." "Commander, we've neutralized 4 pirates and freed the hostages," Olivia reported. "But there are more pirates nearby. We need extraction." There was a long pause. "You defeated 4 armed pirates. With what weapons?" Olivia smiled grimly. "With my toolkit, Commander. Like I've been trying to tell you, they're just tools in the right hands." Kevin interrupted. "Commander, we need security forces here now. We can hold this position, but not for long." "Security teams are 5 minutes away," Zextroll replied. "Can you secure the hostages until then?" Ellen joined them from the storage room. "The diplomats are safe for now, but some need medical attention. I'm doing what I can with my kit." A noise from the corridor made them all freeze. More pirates were returning. Kevin pointed to the chamber's main doors, the only exit besides the maintenance tunnel, which was too small for the diplomats to use quickly. "We need to barricade those doors," he said. Working rapidly, Olivia used her tools to remove panels from the walls and secure them across the entrance. She used her screwdriver to jam the electronic locking mechanism, buying them precious minutes. Outside, they could hear angry voices as the returning pirates discovered what had happened. Something heavy slammed against the barricaded doors. "They're trying to break through," Kevin said, positioning himself protectively in front of the hostages. Olivia looked at her toolkit, now nearly empty as most of her tools had been used as weapons or to build the barricade. She had only her utility knife and a few smaller items left. "Olivia Mason," called a voice she recognized as Captain Vreck himself. "I know you're in there. I've heard about the human with the dangerous tools. Open this door, or we'll cut through it." An alien diplomat with green scales touched Olivia's arm. "You saved us all with your primitive weapons. Are there more tricks in your arsenal?" Olivia stared at her remaining tools. They had already accomplished the impossible, but could they hold out until security arrived? "Captain Vreck doesn't understand what he's up against," she said with growing confidence. "He thinks we're trapped in here with him and his pirates. The truth is, they're trapped out there with what we can create in here."